Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Off the Press podcast. I'm your host, Gazette Hawkeyes reporter, John Steppe. I am excited to welcome back to the podcast former Iowa basketball player and current college basketball commentator, Jess Settles. Jess, thanks for joining me.
Hey, it's great to be back. Thanks a lot.
So, obviously, an interesting last couple weeks within the Iowa program, the end of the Fran era, the beginning of the McCollum era. What's stood out to you from this kind of changing of the guard here at Iowa?
You know, Fran had a wonderful career at Iowa, all-time leader in wins, dynamic offensive coach, recruited the right type of guys, just, loved all the guys he brought in over the years. They were really fun to cover, had great access with their coaching staff. So, very thankful for the job that they did. And now excited for the new coaching staff. Been friends with Sash, one of the new assistants, for many, many years. So I'm excited to see him around the program more. And Coach McCollum, comes with a great reputation. So I wish him the best. It's an exciting time for him and his family to grow up cheering for Iowa and then to be able to take the lead role on the sideline. So, yeah, a lot of changes and a lot of changes in college basketball in general. And it'll be interesting to see how they navigate all these very, very tough situations that college programs are in right now.
And kind of going back to Ben's introductory news conference, he was talking about, as for kind of how his teams were going to play, he said, "Have you seen Chris Street play?" For you, what did that mean to hear that?
I thought that was great. I'm sure Mike and Patty, Chris's parents, really appreciated that. And it's great to be able to connect with the Iowa fans. And I didn't get to see the press conference, but I saw some clips. I saw that clip. And I know he mentioned several other players, too, that I just think that means a lot to the people to know that he knows the history of the program and is concerned about the style of play and Chris Street and what he meant to the program. So I think that's fantastic. It'll be interesting. It's so hard to keep players now, as we know. I think that's been the disappointment from the whole transition is we've lost our entire team. And those guys, although they didn't make the NCAA tournament, they're still really good players and probably a player away and maybe Owen Freeman injury away from playing in the tournament. But hopefully these kids that are coming over from Drake are older, mature, and know the system and can come out and get things going on the right foot.
Kind of perfect segue to my next question about those. I think it's, if I'm counting right, 5 Drake guys. It's easy to lose count with how many there's been. What do you think they can do at the Big Ten level? Obviously, a lot of success in the Missouri Valley, but now kind of another level. What do you think they could do with this team?
Only time will tell, right? That's the conversation around the state of Iowa right now. I think the positive is that group of guys played extremely well against Power 5 teams when they were at Drake. They won at Kansas State. They obviously handled Mizzou no problem. So they're not going to be intimidated by the jump up in talent, and they've won a lot of games together. So they know the system. I think that's really going to be a positive. Now, as you know, as everybody listening knows, the Big Ten is a different monster, and it's every single night you're running into, a Luka Garza, a Zach Edey. You're playing against Keegan Murray's. It's different, and you're playing against pro level players, and the Big Ten's gotten a lot older as well. So I know the staff is working on bringing in some other guys from the portal. And hopefully in the next few weeks, there'll be, he'll announce some pretty talented guys. And that, I guess it's the blessing and the curse of the portal, right? You lose your entire team, which is awful for the fans. And but in a few weeks, you can rebuild your entire team if you get lucky, get the right guys, and get some NIL help. You can turn it around quickly, but it's such a mess right now that hopefully he'll fall on the right side of it. But half the coaches don't. It's just you lose your top guys. You can't get the guys you want in the portal. You're trying to dip down into the mid-major level, D2 level, and then you can't compete against Tom Izzo. So we'll see how it shapes out. I know they're busting their tail, and I know he's a really good X's and O guy. So I think he'll be in good shape to get the team off to a good start.
Obviously lost in the Price Sanford sweepstakes and the Josh Dix sweepstakes, but to get Cooper back, what do you think he could provide this Hawkeye program in 25, 26, and really beyond.
Well, he's a really good player and an even better person. I obviously played with his dad. We were on the last Sweet 16 team together. Um, he had a wonderful couple summers in high school playing against the top competition, and everybody in the Big Ten wanted him. You know, Wisconsin wanted him, Purdue wanted him, everybody wanted him, and he loves Iowa. He loves our old Sweet 16 team. You know, many of us, Ken McCausland and Ryan Luersman and Jake Jakes and we've known Coop since he was a little kid running around. So he just loves our team. Obviously, JR's got a big heart for the black and gold. His mom was a cheerleader here, or maybe dance team. Maybe you don't say cheerleader. Maybe you say dance team. Now I don't want Jen to shoot me out for that. But so he knows the history, and yeah, isn't it interesting? I think Chris Kingsbury's son, is going to come back, hopefully. And now Coop should really, he can play both ways. He can fly up and down like Fran did. And this new system, a column system where maybe he'll get some better shots, maybe better spacing. I'm not exactly sure, but he'll thrive in both systems.
Have you gotten a chance to see much of Drake these last couple of years? Well, I guess this last year would be the year that matters for McCollum.
I really have not. Just clips here and there. I did talk to Matt Painter, the Purdue coach at the Final Four, 4 or 5 days ago. Matt Painter was very high on him. He worked with him at USA Basketball. Just loved the way they spaced the floor, the screening, the discipline, taking advantage of weaknesses, defensively trying to eliminate the strengths of the other team. And then Ryan Peden, who's at Illinois State, told me that Drake was the hardest team last year that he had to scout. So the guys who know are very impressed with his coaching and their system. So that's wonderful. It's just you got to have the dudes, right? You have to have the big time players and the speed and the toughness, and that'll be the thing. It's just really difficult to lose all the guys we lost and then to say, hey, let's just plug in other guys for him. It's really hard to do, as so many teams have found out. But from an X's and O's standpoint, the people who know more than I do, I've been very impressed with his career so far. So that's exciting.
What's it like getting to see Josh Sash get this opportunity at a place that obviously is very close to the hearts of really his entire family?
Yeah, I mean, Josh is just one of those guys that has just been grinding for years. Loved basketball, played basketball with Tyler. Tyler loved basketball more than he loved football. I mean, he was a basketball player who played football for Iowa, but, it was just a business decision because that was the best opportunity to have a chance to get a scholarship and obviously go play on the NFL. But those two guys grew up in the backyard playing hoops. Tyler would come to my camp when he was just a middle schooler. Over in New Sharon, we had a camp, and Josh would come over, drop him off, pick him up. So that's how far back we go with the family. And then if you look at Josh's resume, I mean, he's just been at the junior college level, working so hard for so little money for so long, just trying to climb the ladder, doing it the right way. So I think he's really going to do a good job sitting in the living rooms of kids and coaching with passion. And I can't, like I said, I can't wait to work with him and see him, and I'm excited for him. But I guarantee he's not getting much sleep right now because they got to get players. They've got to get players. So he's working hard for us on that.
And then, obviously the portal is such a wild card right now, but you're seeing the way too early top 25s come out. Some don't have Iowa. I think John Fanta had Iowa at number 25. Do you think this could be a ranked team in 2025, 26, or is this way too early to even say?
I don't even follow that. I don't follow recruiting. I don't follow the portal. I'm an analyst, and I have to wait until about 2 weeks into when the season starts to even have a thought on how these teams are going to be. Now, those guys who do that, they have to do that. It's the business. It's the marketing. It's what drives the podcasts and the articles and the fan support. I totally get it. But it's so funny because I'll be broadcasting a game, and we always go to the shoot-arounds and the practices the same day. and I'll look down and I'll just start triple taking these guys, and I'll be thinking, wait a second, that guy looks familiar. And then, I'll ask one of the managers or assistant coaches and it's somebody I covered twice at two different teams the last 2 years. It's just a joke. I mean, to be honest with you, the whole thing's a joke. And so, yeah, to pick Iowa as a top 25 team when we still need 5 more players, and we've got, I can't even, I don't even know where to start with that. I know that Houston, from being on the floor, I know Houston as of today has most of their guys back. So that obviously would be, seems reasonable. But for the teams like a Minnesota, like in Iowa, who are just totally starting over, I don't know. What do you think, man? I can't predict where the top 25 are going to be.
It's funny because I've got the preseason vote for football for AP, and that's a month before. And it feels like you're throwing darts doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Where, okay, how do I know this team's going to be 16 or unranked? Like, with portal.
That's always the joke of the coach of the year race, right? So you have no idea who's going to be on your team. You don't have any clue when you're bringing in junior college kids and Division II kids I don't care if it's rowing or field, I don't care what it is. You have no idea how most of those are going to respond. So then you have a team and you pick a team second from the bottom, and then they finish second in the league, and everybody's like, oh, that's the coach of the year. The polls had them second from the bottom, and they did such a fantastic. I mean, come on, you have no idea how these kids are going to respond. Their off-season training and all that, and then you get some 26-year-old in there. Of course, you're going to win more games. So I don't know. I'm glad that you have votes and I do not. I want nothing to do with predicting that stuff.
Well, even from a broadcasting standpoint, I'm sure that creates some challenges when you don't have any year-to-year continuity of, okay, I was calling this team last year. Okay, I know what to expect. Well, no, you really don't.
No, you really don't. I had a Mountain West game last year, I believe, and they were playing that night against obviously their other team, but the other team had a kid on their team that was scheduled to go. I think it was Boise State. Let's just hypothetically say this kid was going to commit to Boise State, but then the NCAA said something about, well, he's not going to be able to play this year. So they decided not to go with the kid because he wasn't going to be able to play because of the portal and some rule. Well, then 10 games later, they're playing against another team, and that kid's on the other team. And I'm talking to the head coach, and he's like, yeah, he was going to play for us. Now we have to scout him and play against him, who was a good player, because he got an attorney, and they won some small case, and they said for the time being he could play. So, I mean, that's really what it's like right now. And fans don't like it. Fans don't like the disorder of it all. And I know the ratings for the Final Four were huge. And with those number one seats, that was pretty cool I thought it was fun to have the top teams there. But it just seems to me like the more I travel with these games, the arenas don't seem to be as full as they used to be. And maybe that's one of the reasons that, more fans are maybe going to some of these different sports where the kids don't transfer as much. I don't know. I don't know where it all ends, but I know it's in court right now. And I know there will be some Title IX issues and pay for play issues and the collective. So I think it's just going to be decided by the courts. And selfishly speaking, hopefully Iowa falls on the right side of it and we get the right players.
Do you personally still enjoy the broadcasting of the sport as much in this portal era? Has that taken away at all from that?
It's a good question. Yes, it has taken away because there's so much turnover, and it's fun to see a Caitlin Clark come in as a freshman and then leave as a completely different player in person, as a star, and you get to know her and watch her journey for people. And so some of these schools, it'll be like Iowa this year, we'll come in there and there will be one player from the year before, and that's pretty common. So I don't like it as much now as like you as a professional. you get the assignment, you pour your heart into it, you want to bless those kids, tell their stories, do a great job promoting their schools. That will never change. You just, I'm an Iowa kid. That's what we all do. We do the best we can with the cards that we're dealt. And but it's so weird. Like, it's going to be strange this year to see Tucker DeVries wearing the Indiana uniform, right? And as good as he is, it's going to be odd. I just called him 2 years ago in the Cayman Islands when he was wearing the Drake uniform, and then saw him play last year with West Virginia. And so it's a little odd.
And then we were talking about the Sweet 16. You're mentioning that earlier. How much would it mean to you and to the other guys from that team to see that streak that's gotten talked about a lot over these last 20 some years, to see this maybe end at some point in the McCollum era?
Yeah, we're kind of all discouraged by it. I don't know if the right word is embarrassed by it. It's not, because we're obviously proud of it, and we had a really special team, and that team really connected with the people of Iowa and the Iowa fans. It still comes up all the time when we travel, and whether we have events or we're just sitting in a restaurant. People talk about that team all the time. Obviously, the side story of Tom Davis's last year, and people weren't happy about how that was handled. And then for him to overcome that, and we just had a lot of Iowa kids. People love that team, and they love watching us and the way we played. So now, you don't ever think that when you get off that plane in 1999, and if I remember correctly, I think when we beat Arkansas, we flew back from Denver. John Elway was at the game, which was cool. And then we flew back from Denver, and then Tom Vilsack, who was the governor at the time, I believe, got on the bus at that Cedar Rapids airport. Tom Vilsack and his family had been friends with our family since I was, 8 years old. So that was fun. And the Sweet 16 takes you to another level. It takes your fame to another level nationally. It's absolutely incredible when you can get to that next weekend. You go from regional media to you're getting a call from the New York Times, you're getting a call from some paper in Europe. That week is really intense for the top players because it's just such a big event. And it was before you could transfer, obviously people really knew the players back then from all the schools. So yeah, then to turn around and say, hey, we're 25 years down the road here and we've never been back to the Sweet 16, it's just really hard to believe. And Steve Alford, Horner and Bruner were close. And, they got beat on a tough shot, I think. And then, obviously Luca's team, Keegan's team, it's just weren't able to get it done. They've had some good teams, but weren't able to get it done. But yes, we're hoping that the new era here can get to at least that weekend because it's been too long, man. It's been too long.
Is there a primary reason you think for why it's been hard to just kind of get over that hump for this program?
I don't have the answer to that. I typically, as a player and as a former coach and as an analyst, I always lean towards the players. Like players, you have to get it done, right? That's always been my mindset. I never came off the floor thinking, oh, Coach Davis didn't have us ready, or that wasn't a very good game plan. It's on the players, right? When you've got Keegan and Connor and Jordan Bohannon, those guys, you got to get it done. Now, that being said, the madness of March is crazy, and you get some buzzer beaters, and you have off nights and this and that. But no, I don't know. You got to get it done as a player. It would be my weak answer for that question.
Well, Jess, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Go Hawks, man.
Yes, and thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, we will talk Hawks later.